Great to have you here, Mr. LaLota.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my constituents need more salt, and we in Congress should give it to them in this upcoming budget reconciliation. The state and local tax deduction, commonly called the SALT deduction, is the #1 federal tax issue for Long Islanders. Discussions of SALT dominate not just the editorial pages, but conversations in diners and pizza places and delis and bagel stores all around Long Island. And we Long Islanders need SALT relief for reasons of federal fairness and equity. First, SALT bars double taxation of income, allowing the amount a federal taxpayer pays towards their state income and property taxes to be deducted from income taxable by the federal government. Second, SALT's roots in our tax code are as old as the federal income tax itself, both established in 1913. Third, SALT's foundational principle is based in federalism, where states were meant to be a unique and driving governing force, and the federal government was meant to have limited power and spending. Finally, since New York taxpayers receive far less back from Washington than we give, SALT helps make us a little more even with Uncle Sam. Despite these points, some of my Democrat colleagues argue that SALT relief is welfare for the wealthy. With due respect, that couldn't be further from the truth. My district has the highest cost of living in the entire nation, driven by New York's staggering tax burden, the highest in the country. What might be considered a high income elsewhere barely keeps pace with expenses on Long Island. And some of my own party argue that SALT relief is an improper subsidy for big, bloated state budgets like New York's. And I won't deny that Albany's government is oversized, wasteful, and mismanaged. But there's an inconvenient truth when it comes to federal subsidies. The largest blue states, like California and New York, contribute far more to Washington than they get in return. California taxpayers send $263 billion more to the federal government than it receives, while New York taxpayers send $136 billion more to Washington than we receive. Said another way, California is ranked 43rd of the 50 states, getting just 65 cents back for every dollar they send to Washington, and New York is ranked 41st of the 50 states, receiving just 74 cents back for every dollar. New Jersey, who is for SALT as well, is ranked 48 of 50, getting a mere 56 cents back for every dollar it sends to Washington. In fact, while the poorly run government of New York gets 74 cents back for every dollar we send to Washington, efficiently run state governments like Kentucky get $1.89 for every dollar, Arizona $1.71, and South Carolina too gets $1.71 for every dollar it sends to Washington. I'm not here to defend the tax and spend policies of my state. For those ill-fated policies are the primary reason that New Yorkers are leaving for places like Florida and the Carolinas. But I am here to say that the assertion that my state's big bloated government gets more than its fair share from Washington is not grounded in fact. To the contrary, hardworking Long Islanders and millions of others in high-tax states are already subsidizing the rest of the country. SALT relief simply ensures they aren't taxed twice on the same income. A higher cap on SALT, my colleagues from the Ways and Means Committee, will bring fairness and equity to this disparity. Thank you, Chairman, for your time, and I yield back.
Thank you, sir. I now recognize Representative Ashley Hinson, the gentlewoman from Iowa. She joined us back in August for our hearing at the Iowa State Fair. So we heard from you the priorities of Iowans and the